What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel and thank you for tuning in to today's video. I got a new one going over the Overbore Systems swivel light mount, the MAWL, as well as the Picatinny swivel here. I have a ton of guns today, a ton of lasers, so I'm going to show you guys kind of the different ways that you can set up the swivel, how modular it is, and it kind of works with everything on the market. So if you have something like a spear with kind of like a taller, skinnier rail, something like an LMT or a Geisley with more of the traditional octagonal style rail, as well as a 416, which you guys will see in a little bit. But I want to make a quick one going over the MAWL swivel, the Pic swivel, going over different lasers, how you can set this up, completely modular, like I said. So I'll show you a couple different configurations. Stay tuned and we'll go over the swivel. All right, so when you get your swivel, MAWL or Picatinny, it's gonna come with all the necessary hardware and then your main mounting base as well as the light side portion of the mount. So I just wanted to illustrate real quick before we jump into the different guns here, the base as well as the light mount portion, the upper half. So the base pad or the base mount for your MAWL can go in either orientation, so you can flip it 180 degrees. The same goes for the Picatinny one as well. Obviously, you can just mount this whichever way you need to on a pick rail, but the MAWL is the same deal, so you can mount it with the kind of mounting portion for the top half toward the bottom of the rail or toward the top, so you can get into some pretty interesting kind of positions with your light up against your laser, as well as the top half here is interchangeable, so you can have it with the logo out with the light kind of underneath the mount, or you can flip it around and have it the other way and rotate it back down and get your light super close to the rail. As you guys can see here, you can get it extremely close. So there's a ton of different ways. Like I said, we're going to go over a couple guns here. One of them has the MAWL, so you can kind of see how you can configure the swivel to still access your windage and elevation turrets. That's one really cool thing about this mount is it does allow you to keep the light or the MAWL on the gun when you're zeroing it, which is, I know, a huge thing for a lot of people. A lot of other light mounts on the market don't have that ability. All right, so real quick, I want to go over the Picatinny swivel. So it's the same deal as the MAWL base. It's biased to one side, so you can mount it in this orientation, flip it 180, mount it in the opposite orientation. Goes for the same if it's on a side rail or a bottom rail for whatever reason, as well as the top half of the mount is the same exact piece from the MAWL version, so it is also swappable, so you can insert it into the mount like so, or flip it 180 degrees and mount it in the base as such. All right, so starting out with the probably most common setup, which is gonna be your Pic 15. Most people have Pic 15s. It's a very common laser on the market nowadays. So showing here on this 416, the MAWL swivel base with a single cell mod light here, really small compact package for this 416. As you can see, the base is mounted in this orientation, which kind of pushes the light up tight against the Pic, with the top half of the swivel being rotated in this orientation versus it could be rotated the other way. To get the light super tucked in against the Pic here, as you can see, I mean, it is almost touching. It is a super tight compact package. It works really well. This setup's really clean. It's using the Sojourn Group pressure pad holders. I really like this setup. I think it is a pretty sweet little package. All right, up next we have the MAWL with an MAWL swivel. This is probably the second most popular laser I'm seeing out on the market right now, right behind the Pic. So what's very advantageous about the MAWL swivel base is there is a pass-through in the bottom, so you don't have to remove the light to actually adjust your turret on the MAWL here. As you can see, you can go straight through. That's obviously if you have the light very far forward, there's definitely enough room on either side of the light, so if you had it pushed back a little bit, you could still pass through here as well as the base. This package also gets very tight. Obviously, this is probably a little bit too tight to put a RC2 on here, but you can just pop this guy over a little bit, slip your can on, and you're good to go. So that is a MAWL with an MAWL swivel. All right, so this is my personal setup here. This is a 12.5 LMT Spec War. I have, as you can see, the MAWL base orientated in the opposite direction from what most the other setups in this video were, as well as the top half orientated inverted so that the logo side is toward the barrel. And then I also have a new product that's going to be coming out, the Scout modular extension that's patent pending. It's going to be very, very universal. So I have one here off the gun. As you can see, it has a female side on both sides. So just like the top half of the swivel itself, you can mount your light from either direction. You can have this guy set up in such a way like I have here and mount your light through over top of it, excuse me, or you could mount it vice versa. So the possibilities with the SME are really kind of endless. I like it in this configuration simply because I was getting a lot of the back end of the light digging into my knuckle here when I was shooting. So this kind of allows me to push the light out, eliminate a little bit of the shadow off the front of the can, as well as keep the back half of my hand from getting beat up by a clicky cap that I had on here before. Again, using the Sojourn Group mod light button holder. Really nice. This setup works really, really well for me personally. All right, last but certainly not least, I wanted to show off a Pic swivel in addition to a Wilcox Raid here in this instance. So obviously the M-LOK swivel is probably the most popular version simply because everybody's moving to M-LOK except for the base quad rail guys with the Mark 18s and stuff. So give you guys some love here, especially on this LWRC with a proprietary rail system where you have to add 1913 sections. Obviously, you're going to want something like a Pic swivel. So here you can see I have it set up on the side, and the way I have it set up was if you're not using a pressure pad for the laser, you can just pivot over from the fire button on the laser to the light. Again, same as the M-LOK swivel, the bottom half as well as the top half are reversible. So here I have it orientated somewhat high up simply because that's just kind of where my thumb naturally would want to rest coming off the fire button on the laser. So again, the possibilities with the swivel are endless. If you have any questions or comments, feel free, reach out. Overbore Systems on Instagram or me personally, I can answer. I've been using the swivel for years now. Love it. I think it's a super solid setup. But with all that being said, guys, I will catch you in the next one.